Who's that Pokemon? It's Tempest! Yeah, we're talking about Tempest today. You know, I kind of realized that I use Tempest quite a bit, and I haven't made a video about Tempest specifically. I made one video quite a while ago with a team that I use to auto farm content, like a Union team, and I do use Tempest in that. But I thought it'd be kind of fun to actually go over him as a character, him or her, I don't know. Who knows what's underneath that armor, right? Very, very cool character overall. And I don't know if they get overlooked, but I think if actually, let's actually look by rarity and look by breakers. If you look at all of the gold breakers, I think he is by far the strongest out of these three. So, in fact, I think he's, you know what? I'm going to go as far as to say it. I think he is the strongest of all the breakers outside of the legendary category. And I think he's better than Xavier even. So let's talk Tempest. What does he do? What is his gimmick? Well, when it comes to lower rarity units, they usually don't have gimmicks necessarily. They're usually just kind of, they're just simpler units in general. So I am going to go through how to build them, and I'm going to advise you to not do what I did. I actually think that there are maybe 2 Castalia I could use to get a better version of Tempest than what I got. And I just don't want to invest that in them. I have 5, but there's a new character coming out, and I'll just spend all my Castalia way too fast. So he's still very, very good as is, but I think he could have been even better. So what is this trait? When activating, this is going to be at 5-star. When activating an attack, when initiating an active attack, he gains wind armor, which increases his defense by 50%. This is basically like, this is similar to the new Pamina who's about to come out. Like, not literally, but like this huge defense boost for a breaker is just kind of crazy. That is a massive amount of defense. And after you get attacked, so it sounds like it flows together kind of weird. Like it does, like, okay, you deal damage to get your defense up and you take damage to get your attack up. Well, that doesn't really function how you want it to function. It actually does, because the way it plays out is he'll go in, he'll attack, right, with his normal bait, and then he'll get a big defense boost for having attacked. Then they'll attack him, right? But you'll have your defense boost up, and then when they attack you, then when you go up to attack at your following time, you're going to have your attack boost. So it'd be nice if he started combat with Wind Fury, right, for 2 turns. But the fact that you go in, attack, get your wind armor, getting a huge defensive boost, then when they attack you, you don't take as much damage to trigger your Wind Fury. It's actually pretty good. Like, if you got wind armor after you got dealt damage, that would kind of suck because you would already take the damage. So the fact that you could preemptively get wind armor is very good. These are big percentages. This isn't the biggest percent. Like, you can get more out of, like, I think Night Raven, I think gets, what is it? It's 20%, but then like 20-30% damage as well. So you can get more total there, but that 50% defense ain't no joke. The issue is there's not a lot of spears that really go really well with this character. If you use axes, there is an axe that can convert your defense into physical attack. However, I'm personally a big fan of using the skeleton spear on him if you manage to grab a couple of them. It just increases your physical attack by a flat amount, and then before initiating a single target attack, you do piercing damage equal to 10% attack. So that is like my go-to weapon for him with this trait. And let's actually kind of talk about the rest of the gear really quick. I mean, obviously you can use everything. Even the movement is like reasonable. As far as when actively attacked, you get a defensive boost. This is kind of cool because when you attack, this is basically like a double up on his passive trait, because you go up and you hit, right? Then they attack you. You have your 50% defense boost. You're getting another 30%, and then you're getting your 25% attack, and then you're going to deal 25% more damage. This is very good. I just like the alpha of having higher physical attack and dealing more damage. It makes them more likely to one-shot characters, stuff like that. So I think the Silent Guard and the Skeleton Spear are good. As for the armor, you could use something very simple like a Roaring Flint or a Flying Blade Arm Guard, because even if you were out of range or out of whatever, like you didn't have enough energy to use your 3 energy attack and you couldn't quite reach the melee, this will activate your wind armor, so this is pretty good in general. I like using a Maverick Cloak because I kind of put him out there alone, and I like using the Sword Wand for the extra defense and extra attack. It just kind of works for him. Now, as for the tarot, I actually like the Course of Fortune. I don't know why it's called the course, but I like the Wheel of Fortune here. I've been a big fan of this because when you have both of these, he has a pretty good chance to just passively get damage reduction, which is good, or he gets extra damage, which is good, or he gets self-healing, which he doesn't really have in his own kit. So actually, you could take a look here, right? So what are the ones here? Increased damage, good. Damage taken reduced, good. Piercing damage to enemies in range, this is reasonable, but it will give him his armor, I believe. I don't know if it does, but that's like okay. HP recovery, good. And attack and defense attributes up with energy recovery, good. All of these are very good for his kit, especially the energy recovery, because that's one of his big problems. Nothing is not very good, but these all last for 2 turns, and so if you get 2 of them every turn for 2 turns, you're going to constantly have 4 of these up, so you're likely to get pretty much whatever you need here. So I actually really think that's good. But let's actually get into his abilities here. So his default ability is going to be the knockback bash. This ability, not very good. I probably wouldn't use it that much, but it is reasonable. 140% to knockback. I think it's okay, but it's probably not what I would use, even though I am using it from time to time now because I didn't get the other ability here. But it's okay. So let's actually go into his skills here. So rank 1. I think this one is... It kind of depends. I think Knightly Spirit is very good. However, I don't like Knightly Spirit on this character because he doesn't have anything else that wants to attack the front or be attacked in the front. He doesn't have a way to parry, to look around. He doesn't have a way to guard, to get forced, people to look at his front. He has reasonable, he has 3 maneuverability, but he also has like a charge attack, right? So he has ways to usually get to someone's side or something like that. So I don't usually feel like Knightly Spirit is actually pretty good. And Eternal Chop, just doing extra damage, I think actually is pretty reasonable. So I think I would, and it gives you a defense boost, which is actually pretty good on him. I think I would probably take Eternal Chop, even though Knightly Spirit definitely can be good, and I do like it. But it's kind of hit or miss. I don't know if it's always going to make it on the bar anyway. At rank 3, I think it's a no-brainer to take the Storm Rage Strike. It's an ability I personally really like. It's basically his normal ability, the one he starts with, where it's damage and knockback, but it's 10% more damage. It's at 150%. It does have the knockback, and it has a range of 3. So it does more damage and has an increased range. You need to have Wind Fury. Wind Fury is pretty easy to get. Again, if they attack you. So if you use this to initiate, you're not going to initially knock them back, but you're still going to be doing the 150%, which is pretty good. Knight's Glory is okay, but I don't think so on him. There's other ways to get characters attack, and this is an instant with a 4-turn cooldown. Knight's Glory is more of like a really early game thing. I think this falls off. Like now I just bring Homa, and he doesn't ever have to worry about it, or a bunch of other ways to increase attack, right? It's a little bit, I want him to have other things on his bar. Now, rank 5 is where I think I made the biggest mistake here. And I think a lot of people are going to make this mistake if you haven't used Tempest that much and you just leveled him up. Storm Temple. This is clearly his special reaction. Before receiving a melee attack from the front or the side, you deal 50% damage to all enemies within a 1-tile radius. So when they attack you, it only triggers 1 time per round, but you'll do a preemptive attack for 50%. That's not that good in general, but it's okay. If you have Wind Armor, which is super easy to get because you get it whenever you attack, you will also inflict damage down 2 for 1 turn. So this is pretty good. This ability is fine. I like this. You get to do 50% damage. It could sometimes finish off a guy who didn't quite finish. If you lower their damage by 20%, then it's still, you have the 50% armor and the 20% damage. It makes you surprisingly tanky. Sometimes you can knock them from healthy to injured, take less damage. It's pretty good, but I honestly think energy recovery is just much better on this character, if I'm being completely honest. This is a reaction. When you hit by an active attack, you just take 8% less damage straight up all the time. So this has a few issues. 8% less damage is less than the 20% damage decrease, right? But here's the issue. This only activates if you have Wind Armor. So if there's a chance you don't have Wind Armor, this kind of sucks. Also, this only activates on melee attacks from the front or the side. It's not going to work on range. And even if, like, they're at 2 tiles away, this isn't going to be able to hit them, and it doesn't do anything, right? And if this doesn't do anything, you take 100% of damage. It's pretty bad if you get hit by anything that hits you in the back or hits you from more than one tile away. So this ability can be pretty bad. It's fine. I like it. But honestly, this energy recovery, always taking 8% less damage combined with your high defense is good. And then when you receive an active attack, this doesn't care about it being melee. You recover 1 energy. Tempest's biggest issue is energy recovery. This is his biggest issue. He has 3 attacks. He has 1, 2, 3. So let's go through them really quick. He has his signature attack, knockback bash. Pretty good attack, 3 energy. He has his charge attack. It has a cooldown, but it costs 3 energy. And then he has this attack up here, which is a great attack and costs 3 energy. All of his attacks take 3 energy. So even you won't even without extra energy regeneration, you're not even going to be able to use this every turn that it's up. You go up to 3, you go down to 0. At the end of the turn, you go to 1. At the end of the next turn, you go to 2. You're only going to be at 2 energy when you want to use this. So it's very awkward. This is actually very good to ensure that he just keeps his energy up a little bit. I think it's very nice. So I would take energy recovery if I could go back and do it. Rank 7, I think this is one I also made a mistake on. It kind of depends. I got this one because it had the 2 energy recovery, like I was saying. And I don't think this is the biggest issue. This is fine. If you're dying at the start of your turn, you recover 50% HP and 2 energy. This has a 2-turn cooldown. Because he's kind of tanky, it's okay for him to get to the dying state, but it just, as you get into harder content, it's just kind of fucking hard to make this work, you know? You usually go from healthy, injured to dead. You don't get to stay much in the dying state. So I haven't found this to be triggering that much. And when it has had a chance to trigger, I usually have a healer available to heal him outside of the range, so he doesn't even need it. So it doesn't turn out to really work that much for me. I think it would work way better on lower. If it was injured, I think this ability would be fucking sick. Dying is just a little hard. And across from it is his best attack. It's arguably not as good as the range because, you know, sometimes you're not going to be in range. This gives you a charge. But this does a 30% damage attack and then dispels 2 buffs, which is great. Dispelling buffs. So 30% damage, dispels 2 buffs, and then performs an additional 130% attack. So this is his highest percent attack. It also dispels, and it has no cooldown. So you want to use this pretty much every turn that you don't need to close in or knock someone back. So this is a fantastic ability. Plus, I think if you don't have your... No. I was thinking of the wind armor, but wind armor doesn't trigger from attack or whatever, you know, the whatever it's called. The other one doesn't trigger. Wind Fury doesn't trigger when attacking. But this attack is really good, so I would take this. Also, it gives you defense over HP, which I think is also just better on the character. Like, I could have an extra 6% defense on this character if I would have gone with the right stuff. 6% defense is a lot. It's very important for this character, especially when he has such a big modifier. So I would be taking the Crescendo combo over the Will to Survive. Rank 9. I do like the charge attack here. Even the charge attack gives you less HP, or it gives you HP as opposed to defense. So 3% HP, 3% defense. I could be convinced to take this just to get the defense and then dispel buffs, but this is a little redundant. If you're going to be dispelling the buffs, you're already going to be doing that with the Crescendo combo. I'm only taking this for another 3% defense, whereas the charge attack is kind of nice. And if you ever don't have enough energy, you use this and then your next skill will get increased damage. So you're actually losing less damage by using this as opposed to using this. However, it might just be worth it to get the flat defense, but he doesn't scale his damage off defense. So this will be better for getting damage, and HP is not like it's bad. So I would still probably take charge attack in this. But I would take the Crescendo combo. I would switch literally almost everything, right? I would take the Crescendo combo. I would take the energy recovery, and I would take the internal chop. Although I think you could make a case for Knightly Spirit. And so for the screen here, I would be running, you know, I'd probably charge attack, energy restoration. I would get rid of this for Crescendo combo. Let's just say this is Crescendo combo. This would be his Storm Rage strike. And then here is going to either be the no, it's going to be the internal chop, right? It's just going to be dealing 20% more damage. It really pumps up his damage a lot more than what I have right now. Plus, because I believe you do this before you knock them back with Crescendo combo. I think you do the 30% and then the 20% and then the 130. I don't know. But I think overall that would be way better. However, again, I think Knightly Spirit is definitely worth it. But this is currently what I'm running. But even though he functions well, and he does a good job. He doesn't function as good as he could if he had the energy recovery, because it is actually like a problem, no joke. It definitely comes up. But yeah, that is Tempest. Let's go ahead and run him through his paces really quick, just to give a little damage demonstration of what he could do. All right, so this isn't going to be a perfect demonstration here, because I'm not going to min-max it to all hell, but we are going to try to increase his damage, is what we can do here. So first we're going to do is we are going to, are these instant? That is a 1-turn cooldown. What about this one? Yes. Let's go ahead and start here. And then we will give everyone the increased movement. In fact, I want you to come up here. 1, 2, 3. That's okay. Let's do this. We want them to be close because we're going to be using co-attack. And so we want you to come up here because what actually co-attack does, right? It's within 2 tiles. So we want to make sure we get, I try to get 3 allies within 2 tiles. 1, 2. We're not going to make that happen, but we'll get a little bit of a boost. All right, so you're going to come up here. That's good. Hey, quit hurting my boy. Yeah, this is going to be whatever. It's not going to be great, but it should function. And then we'll have you come up here, and we will drop this up here. So we're bringing, every character here has a purpose, right? Gloria both has the Union buff and has the aura 15%. Homa gives the movement and the attack 2 buff and physical defense down. Coco gives attack level 3 or damage level 3. K.A. Guard gives the co-attack, which is a stacking buff with everything else. Magnus lowers the defense. So they've all got a purpose here. And let's go ahead and lower the defense. Bada bang. So let's take a look at what he's at right now. So we're hitting for 7,000. Let's take a look. He's got 612 defense. So if we come here and attack, that's 7,900. And then this is 11,000. And this is 11,900. I wonder if we get to his side, I think we would do less damage because we do have the Knightly Spirit on. So now let's go ahead and we'll do the Warhorn. And again, this isn't perfect. I could probably get more damage out of this. And then we will give him a defense, especially because we have a Maverick Cloak on him right now. But for the sake of, so that's already up to 15,000 and 21,000. And this is 22,000. And this is without, by the way, he's at 5,000 attack. He doesn't have his boost right now. Maybe we could even try to get him to take a hit. See how next turn goes. So he didn't crit there. All right, here we are. So I did it a turn later. Did he take his damage? Let's take a look. He's at 6,668 now. So he must have his Wind Fury. Yep, there we go. Also, let's go ahead and do this now. Bada bing. I like doing the middle tile. I don't know. It just feels right. And then now we're going to, not only are we going to attack from the side, but we'll have the Wind Fury as well. And we'll have 3 characters in range. So this is at 16,000. This is at 26,000. We'll go ahead and slow it down. Now, Homa did die, but I believe we still got the buff. Yeah. So let's take a look here what we got. We've got the speed buff, sure. Damage 30%. We've got attack 2. Wheel of Fortune that's not doing anything. A Wheel of Fortune that is healing, so not really doing much. The damage increase of 15% because we use charged attack. Co-attack should be giving us 15% attack because it's within 2 tiles, and we got them. This actually goes up to 40%, which is kind of nice. He might be really good with the co-attack stuff. 30% crit, 15% crit damage. Wheel of Fortune that decreases damage taken. Wheel of Fortune that increases our attack and defense by 8%, so that's actually pretty good. We didn't get the 10%, but we got the Raid Order. We got Happiness, Vow of Justice, Leader's Aura. We got the Banner Aura. We got a lot. And what about this guy? He's got 383 defense. He doesn't have vulnerability on him, which is a huge damage increase. So he has the 80%, but if we had, we could probably bring a character like Nona will and get more, but it's all right. Let's go ahead and just see how much you do here. 26,000. That did 46,000 damage. I would argue that's pretty far from a min-max. And at the same time, that's pretty far from a min-max. And at the same time, he's sitting at 2,000 defense. I mean, if you look at other characters, like he's got the same amount of defense as like Magnus here, but also Magnus has like a bunch. He's built specifically for physical defense. So yeah, I think he's actually does pretty good. And again, this is not with what I think is going to be his ultimate final setup, but overall, I think Tempest is good. He could do great damage. For a gold unit, he's fantastic. He just got high stats. Really, it comes down to it. Tempest has high stats, and it's hard to beat high stats. Obviously, this is not what your normal fights are going to look like with this level of stuff, but I find this Tempest build to be good, and he still makes it in nearly all my teams because he's surprisingly tanky. He's not great versus Seekers with their really high attack, but pretty much everything else in the game, he could just tank the hits pretty well. He gets great damage in return, and yeah, I really like him. So that's all for Tempest today, guys. Thank you very much. Consider using this character. He's a lot of fun. Anyway, much love. Purplatypus is Purplatypus. I'll see you on the flip-flops. Bye! On the rise, watch the views go.